Hi friends, I'm Nicholas Acciani. Let's talk backstage. Today, I want to talk about the roles that make up a production or a show. I've already talked about the hierarchy of technical artisan roles in another video, and that's kind of the roles that make up a shop building the show. Now I'm going to talk about the roles that go into producing the show and running a show. So this is my little diagram that I show my stage management classes when I teach it. The solid lines are the lines of direct communication. So if you have a problem as one of these roles, you are going to talk to the person above. That is a solid line. Now the dotted lines are other lines of direct communication in which you might get instruction or might talk to about the role that you are doing, the job that you are doing. So let's start at the top here. I have producer and production manager on the same line. And that is because every theater is kind of different. Every show kind of has a different dynamic. But think of it like the producer and the production manager represent the theater. Generally, the producer and the production manager are working very closely together to make the show happen. Think about the producer as the one who procures the money and procures all the spaces. I can't say that word, procures, but they are the yes, I can, yes, let me get that for you person. The production manager also is kind of that person, but they are taking care of more of the organizational needs. So like contracts and scheduling, that type of thing falls more into the production manager type stuff. The producer's like, I know everybody, I'm gonna schmooze. And the production manager is the let me get your contracts and let me get all of the specifics. So then you have the director who's in charge of the creative vision. Everybody kind of knows what a director does based on movies they've seen. They have the big idea for the show and they cast it and they work with the actors and with the designers. And then you get the designers who are sort of on that same level as the director. Not quite. The director's a little bit higher than because the designers, they have to take their design ideas from the director's creative vision. They're working with the director to create the world of the show. But say they have an issue with something, they're not going to go to the director, they'll go to the production manager or the producer with that issue. Now, slightly in this hierarchy, and again, I keep saying slightly below because there's not really these levels, because they are sort of different departments. But you have the stage manager. Now the stage manager reports directly back to the production manager and producer. That's who hires them, that's who's giving them the contracts to give out, all the scheduling and all of that. They have to report that back to the production manager and producer. That said, they have to work very closely with the director because they are in the rehearsal room, running the room for the director. One of the stage manager's main job is to maintain the creative vision of the director when the director leaves the show after opening night. So they need to have a good working relationship. Otherwise, it's just not good for everybody and can be kind of stressful. I've had that and it's just, it sets the tone for the whole show and it's never really good. Now, a director is not directly hiring the stage manager because they're hired by the theater who's represented by the producer and a production manager. But a director might have a lot of say in who the stage manager is that they hire. Because they have to work so closely with that person, they might have a bunch of stage managers they work really well with. And the same thing with designers. They have to work so closely. A lot of times, directors will request certain designers. Then you get down to the actors and the ASM. I'm kind of putting them on the same level. Now, the actors have a very good working relationship with the director because that's who most of their communication is about the characters, all of that. But if they have an issue like, I'm running late to rehearsal, I can't make rehearsal because I broke my foot, something like that, they're going to report directly to the stage manager. So those are the two people they're very much so communicating. And if you have an issue, you're going to take it to the stage manager first. And then if there's an issue with that, you might take it to the production manager or the producer. And kind of the same with the ASM. So the ASM works directly assisting the stage manager. I've worked on shows where the director treated the ASM as their assistant, and that is not the case at all. A director should not be coming in and saying, hey, can the ASM go get me some coffee and this and that? That is not the ASM's role. The ASM is there to specifically assist the stage manager in the 8 million things they have to do all at once. Also, the stage manager is the one calling the show. The ASM is kind of running backstage. So if there's an issue backstage that one of the actors have and they need to tell the stage manager, they're going to talk through the ASM because the ASM is usually on comm with the stage manager to be able to receive all of that information. And then sort of on that same level in terms of communication, you have the board operators who take all of their cues, literally they're taking their cues from the stage manager and talking specifically directly to the stage manager. They'll also get some notes from the designers who might say, hey, this is how I want the cue to happen, like specifically lights or sound. But the stage manager is the one who's actually calling them. So they're taking most of that information from the stage manager. And again, if they have issues, they'll talk to the stage manager first, or they will talk to the production manager or technical director, or if it's a union show, their union rep. And then kind of on the bottom of this hierarchy of communication, for lack of a better word, because it's not really a hierarchy of like, these guys are at the top and they're making all the money. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not a hierarchy of like, this is the crappy job. But you have deck crew kind of on the bottom here. They are also backstage. They're probably talking to actors. I mean, I like gossip, and when I'm on deck crew, I'm usually gossiping with actors. That's what you do backstage. But in terms of getting their cues and listening to what they have to do, they're getting that from the ASM, who's generally in charge of backstage, who is then getting it from the stage manager. So it's kind of a trickle down line. Now, they might also be getting cues in their ears from the stage manager if they're on headset. But generally, if they have an issue, they're going to the ASM first. Then they might go to the stage manager. Then they might go to the production manager or producer. And again, if it is a union show, they're probably going through their union rep and bypassing the ASM or stage manager, unless it's a safety issue on a show, in which case everybody needs to know about it. And a stage manager, one of their jobs is to make sure that the safety thing is happening. Generally, if it is a non-union show, this is kind of the bubble that we're working with. If it is a union show, actors are specifically going to the stage manager, who's going to their union rep, because the actors and stage managers are a part of the same union, Actors Equity. The deck crew and board operators are generally going through their union rep, who is not the stage manager but working with the stage manager, because those technical crew positions are IATSE, which is a different union than Equity. They just tend to work together a lot because they have to. All of that said, this is again my graphic of this, and this is just kind of my general idea of this hierarchy of communication within a show, within a production. Now, like most theater, like most shows, it's different production to production. Show to show is different. Theater to theater is different, because they all again have different needs. I stage managed a show that had 2 actors in it, and I had no deck crew. I had no ASM. I had no board operators. So I was all of those positions. I had a problem with it. I had to talk to myself and then talk to the producer. And specifically in that theater, the production manager oversaw all the shows, and there was a producer specifically for show to show. So the production manager, in terms of communication, was a little higher than the producer. So that's what I've got on roles in a production. Hopefully you guys learned something. If it's been different for you, I would love to hear about it in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye, friends. These videos are made for educational purposes. Hopefully you learned something or it reinforced something you may already know. Now, this is just one way to do this, and there may be other ways to do what I've explained in this video, and I would love to hear about those ways in the comments. Just remember to be kind as you share your own experiences and expertise on the subject. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and hit that little bell button to be notified of the next video.